Welcome back, everyone, to another very exciting episode. Today, I am here with Anshoo Tikoo Zutshi, and for those of you who don't know, she is a talented artist and singer based in the Bay Area, California. Born in Delhi and raised outside the region, her journey in music began at a very young age. Apart from that, her other interests include painting, modern contemporary art inspired by her Indian heritage, some of which have been featured in local galleries. As if she doesn't have enough achievements, she also has a Kashmiri music band named the Kashmir Ensemble that has been featured in an exhibit at the San Jose State University, that too the first and only Kashmiri band to earn that title. Most importantly, she is a strong advocate for preserving Kashmiri culture through her artistic passions. Anshu Auntie, it's great to be able to speak with you today.
Hi, Shirin. It's a pleasure to speak with you today, too. It's glad connecting with our youth. I'm so glad that I'm connecting to you guys today through this podcast.
Me too, and we have not done a music episode yet, which is very bizarre because Kashmiri music is so beautiful and melodious and just such a big part of the culture. So I'm very excited to be covering that aspect today because I feel like it has been probably the people wanted it for a while. So I'm glad that we are covering that.
I'm so excited too. It's always been my endeavor to spread more awareness about Kashmiri music. So this is great. This is just the right thing to do. Thank you for having me today.
This is Season 2, Episode 7, Harmonies from Home, Anshoo Tikoo Zutshi's musical legacy. So let's start from the very beginning of your journey. Can you tell us about the first time you realized your passion for music and what were some of your early influences in your life?
Yeah, sure. My first memories of my childhood are around music. I don't even remember when I started, but my mom tells me it was pretty early. So I was a super shy kid, and I didn't have the confidence to even, audition for a musical choir in my school. There was a call for the choir, for the junior choir in my elementary school, and I just didn't have it in me to go for the audition. But my younger sister, who was a very feisty little girl, she absolutely held my hand and took me to the school's choir director and told her to, with a lot of conviction, just listen to her sing. And mind you, I was in first grade and she was in kindergarten. I was chosen that day as the lead singer for the junior choir. So those are like my first memories. And as is true for so many people, my first influence in my life was my mom, who was a singer herself in her college in Srinagar in Kashmir, and my grandparents singing these ancient Kashmiri Leelas when they were doing puja in their tokurkut, which is the small mandir that they make in their homes. The Kashmiris used to have a tokurkut. So those are the early influences I've had in my life around my musical journey. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. And I kind of relate to that, where with my dancing background, and I also used to play flute, it was also very influenced by my parents. But I will say at one point, my parents helped me get started with it, but then throughout the journey, there'd be times where they'd say, just like, why are you playing flute? It's a lot of money and it's a lot of time devoted. So
Yeah.
sometimes you didn't really get the vision. Did you feel like that was the case with you, especially because with most people, it's always like, with most parents, it's usually just study, study, study. So did you ever get that feeling, or was it always just work?
Absolutely, yes. Especially for our community, I feel that our parents have always been, since they went through so much in terms of ethnic cleansing and so many
Right.
exoduses. So they've always been about learning the skills to survive this world. And so I think it was always like if there was a musical a contest or an exam, they would always tell me, why don't you take the exam and do this later, and that sort of thing always existed. But they were also the first ones to cheerlead for me and be like there in the audience every time I was performing, and I've had to look at the audience for support. I saw my mom, dad sitting there with my sister. So yeah, it was both ways. Sometimes they were very practical about it, saying this is not going to work out, the music part of it. You have to live in this world where it's a cruel world. And then there was this part where they saw their girl doing something and really really wanted to encourage her. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at one point when my parents saw how happy arts was making me, it didn't really matter about
Right.
studying. I mean, obviously studies are very important, but Kashmiri culture can only be upheld by, getting into arts. Arts is such a big part of the culture, and so
True.
by just ignoring it completely, it's not helping. And so I think yeah, once my parents started to realize too, then they started to become a little less tough on me about that,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was very nice. Um,
Yeah, I mean, having supportive parents is a big, big part of this whole journey. So, yeah, great. Kudos to them.
yeah. And do you have like a favorite memory from performing as a lead singer, like you said, during your school years?
Oh, I have so many if I look back now. But at that time, at the time when I was in school and I was performing, I think it was just the popularity that came with it. That was my favorite part, the younger members of my choir looking up to me and just being the cool kid of the class was such a fun part of my school years. A few vivid memories are also from receiving awards each year and looking at my music teacher beaming with pride. I think when we look back, we remember the emotions mostly. So I just remember the happiness on my parents' face, or my music teacher's face, or the pride in my school principal's face when we won some inter-school competitions. So yeah, I think those are my fond memories.
That's very fun.
Yeah,
That's really exciting. And yeah, I definitely agree. Like being the in especially in my school, if you were included in band or singing or choir, like sometimes I know it's a stereotype, like
right.
the band kids or the choir kids, like they are
Yeah,
it is a stereotype, but it's also like it is
exactly.
a community, and like even though maybe from the outside you're perceived weird, it was definitely super fun, and I've always had great memories looking
Absolutely.
back.
That's the right word. That sense of community, belonging to something was so great for my formative years. Yes,
Right, like we all had something to bond over, which was our love for
exactly.
music and playing instruments.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know that you have performed with very renowned artists, just such as Jagjit Singh, Pankaj Udhas, and Dr. L. Subramaniam. How were you able to get in contact with them, and what were some memorable moments from those experiences?
Oh, that's such a great question. I don't think many people know this. Even though it's like I always brag about it. It's something that's the highlight of my life that I was able to perform with these icons.
Right.
But many of my friends also don't know how did that happen. So while I was in my school, a lead singer of the choir, there was an audition held for a choir, and it was a secret audition. We weren't told what are we auditioning for, and it was like an inter-school thing. So I was raised in Chandigarh, and a lot of schools were participating for the secret audition, and they set up like a group of some 6 or 7 children, and I was selected as one of them. And we didn't know what we were doing basically, but we were just going there for auditions. There were several auditions, honestly. So through several rounds we were selected, and then one final day we were asked to come to this really great theater in Chandigarh, and we all reached there. It's the Tagore Theater, and that's where we are on the stage, and we find out we are going to be performing with Jagjit Singh ji and Pankaj Udhas ji, and that we've been selected to spend time with them, and they're going to compose something and we're going to sing it with them. So yeah, that was amazing, and that's how I got to sing with them. Spent a lot of time with them, learned a lot of things from them. And Dr. L. Subramaniam ji was also a chief guest in one of my school events, and they picked up a few students to perform for him. And I was one of them. So yeah, highlights of my life, honestly.
Wow, you must have felt incredible after being like selected for such an amazing opportunity.
Absolutely. And just the fact that they didn't tell us what we were being selected for kind of made it a little bit easy. Had they told had I known that I was auditioning for Jagjit Singh or Pankaj Das, it would have been a very tough task.
Right.
But just not knowing and thinking this was something fun, we're just getting together and singing our hearts out was made it easier, I guess.
Right. And
Yeah.
I do believe that having someone who's been in the industry to guide and mentor you is so important. Especially like I can say for my dance career, like my dance guru, she has been in the industry for so long, and without
Wow.
her help, there would have been no way that I would have been able to survive. You just need someone who knows what they're doing, and to just being in the same room as them just gives you this like sort of emotion that you're just very like inspired by them, and you're in awe of them, and just like every word that they say is just you're just taking it all in. So
Yes, that
it's
is so true because it's not only the craft that they're teaching you. I think it's also the life lessons you're learning from them, from their talent, about how they present their talent, how, it has affected their personalities, their character, and you sort of, absorb everything from the people you look up to. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's not just craft; it's learning so many other things from these people, and so grateful for that. Yeah.
And I know that the journey can is never easy throughout. I know that you relocated to like Finland and then the U.S. Is there any impact that happened because of that? And were there any unexpected like challenges or maybe opportunities that arose from that?
So yes, the relocation to Finland and US came as part of my life journey. I just sort of grew up, got married, have had our first kid, and that led me, traveling to Finland first, and then eventually to the United States. And that also meant that I was taking those life events as a priority, and my music took a backseat. I completely was devoted to raising a child and settling down with my new husband. So sort of music, arts, everything took a backseat. So also the distance of it, just moving away from India meant I couldn't take up projects that required me to be physically in a studio or to be collaborating with local artists. At the time when I left, I was, being asked to perform for various music albums in Jammu studios, but I could no longer do that. So in my mind, I definitely thought that this was something that the relocation created a lack of opportunities for my musical journey.
Mm-hmm.
And not only my musical journey, I was by profession a physical therapist. So when I arrived here on a dependent visa, and I couldn't work, I found it very challenging, to get through that phase.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, it did turn out to be a blessing. As I started making online content, and I was one of the first Kashmiri music content creators, and that helped me recreate a path to my musical ambitions and to my, other artistic pursuits. So I would say it was both. It was a challenge as well as an opportunity.
That's nice that it had like it was a blessing and a curse,
Right.
because at least it worked out in the end and you were able to
Exactly.
gain more traction through that.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, how did you, I know that like teaching and family are very important to you. So how has it been like teaching your daughter Kashmiri music and how does she respond to it?
Um, so for my daughter, she is quite musical. She's been learning music, Hindustani classical music, Western classical music, and since I am a performer, she's always accompanied me on all my events. I've made sure she's there with me. She's been in my. I have another daughter too, so both she's only 2.5. So I've always made sure that they are with me through rehearsals, so that way, when I'm singing these Kashmiri numbers, which I mostly perform Kashmiri, I do all genres of music, but I make sure that I'm performing a lot of Kashmiri numbers. And so I make sure that they're listening to it at least, so
Mhm.
that they are automatically absorbing some form of it, and that it will keep them connected to their roots somehow. So yeah, and she loves it. So when I tell her the special unique things about our music, she finds it very interesting. For example, recently we were performing somewhere and we were requested to perform Wanwun, and I was telling her that Wanwun and Henze, although it's like a dying art, but was such an essential part of being a Kashmiri. It's an ancient art that was unique to Kashmiris. It would be done right before any auspicious occasion. It's a form of spoken word which follows rhythmic chanting, and it owes its origin to Samveda. So it's like really special to learn. And so these tidbits of information do help her to, understand the uniqueness, and that sort of is very interesting to her. And obviously when you're singing the more contemporary numbers, just the rhythm, the melody is sort of fun for them. They love singing hukus bukus, which is a Kashmiri lullaby. And yeah, I mean, they find it really interesting.
That's very nice. And I think that exposure early on is very important because when they hear these things when they're younger, it resonates with them as they get older. And it's great that they love it
Yeah,
because then that means they will only stick with that throughout their life.
absolutely.
So that's very nice.
Yeah.
And is this also when you discovered your love for art, or how was that brought about?
So for art too, it was the same thing, when I arrived here in the US, and I realized I wasn't able to work and be independent. So it was a very challenging time for me because I was doing very well in my career in India.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I was like really struggling to find a purpose to my life, even though I was enjoying being a wife or a mother. But those are not the only roles, that kind of fill you, that fulfill your life. So I was really struggling to find a purpose in my life. And at that time, I just went into this hobby store one day and I picked up a few canvases, some paints, and even though it had been years since I had last painted, once I had those things in my hand, I just went crazy, just made I don't know how many paintings that night, and then. Once my friends saw it, my family saw it, they were like, "Oh, those are great. Why don't you do this on a larger scale?" And and that's the time when family, that's where a supportive family really plays a huge role in your life. And my husband gave me a loan. He said, don't think about what investment you need to make in it. You'll return it back to me with interest. Don't worry, just take this loan and get started. I set up a small studio, and I started painting. And I had to wait for many years to be able to sell those paintings, though, because I didn't have a work visa. So when that came, that's when I started, like, really, I created a website, started selling through Instagram, and then started exhibiting in galleries. So yeah, that all came through that challenging phase of my life. All these fruits came through that. So yeah, that's where I picked up art too.
That's very sweet that you got family support and that something good came out of it because I know a lot of people, they get a little intimidated about the fact that, most people have been doing art or dancing or singing since they were very young. And I know some people think, oh, I'm too old to start now, and they usually
Right.
hold themselves back. And I think
Exactly.
like one thing I've learned is there really is no age restriction. All you need is just a little bit of interest to help you get started, and it will only go from there if you
Absolutely.
truly are interested. And so that's great that you didn't hold back.
Exactly.
That something came good out of during a challenging period in your life.
So true. Yes. So grateful for that.
Right. And besides music, you're also a visual artist. So how do your Indian heritage and Kashmiri roots influence your contemporary artworks?
So they do influence it in a very significant way, I would say. So my father is a textile engineer in India, and since we were very little, he would tell us about the different types of textiles or textures or colors. He would bring samples of yarns he was working with in his factory, and so when I would say something was blue, he would add to it and say, Anshu, that's cerulean blue or that's electric blue. So I had that kind of exposure very early in my life, and it kind of really developed my love for color, textures, and besides that, India is such a rich textile and has such a rich textile and craft history. There is
Oh
art
yeah.
everywhere you look, even in a desert state of Rajasthan, there's color everywhere. And so, like several other artists, my eyes were always drawn to colorful compositions, and that's what I paint in my abstracts too. So most of my abstracts, the words that I hear from people, from patrons, is wow, they're so brightly colored, or they're so rich, they're so richly textured. So those are the things that I've totally taken from my culture. Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm very interested to know, what is your favorite um, song that you created, or your favorite art piece that you created, and how was that brought about?
Such a great question, Shirin, and a tough one to answer. There's not just this one piece, but or one song, but I would say there's this upcoming project that I'm doing for San Jose State University, where we are sort of putting out the Kashmiri music for the world to see. We're doing an academic demonstration of Kashmiri music and presenting the unique character of Kashmiri music. And that's something I'm feeling really, really proud about. It's never been done in the US, and it's the first time this is being done. And we're going to talk about certain unique instruments that are only used by Kashmiris, which have influences out of India too. Like there is Persian, Iranian influence, Afghan influence, like the tumbakner. Um,
Mhm.
and I will have someone accompanying me on that, and we'll be presenting a folk song from Kashmir. And I think that project is special to me. And then we are doing this, the first of its kind, the first ever Kashmiri Music Fusion Festival here in the Bay Area in September.
Mhm.
And that's also the first time you will see Kashmiri music in the mainstream US social event. So I'm
Wow.
really feeling, yeah, so I'm really looking forward to those, and also very proud to be part of these landmark events, to bring Kashmir to the mainstream. Yes. Kashmiri
That's
music. Kashmir
incredible.
has been in mainstream with the Kashmiri music and arts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that either attends San Jose State University, or anyone that's in the Bay Area, if they're interested, when will the this event be happening?
This event is happening on the 24th of August at the King Library in the San Jose State University. And right now, my band, the Kashmir Ensemble, is being featured in a visual exhibit in the San Jose State University. Anybody who's nearby, anybody who studies at the San Jose State University can go and attend the visual exhibit in the
Yeah.
King Library in San Jose State. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And
Thank you.
I mean, I'd I think you were saying how you will be showing the students about the Kashmiri songs and the instruments, and I think that is great exposure to
Yeah.
give to such a like um, such an audience that is always trying to learn more, and I think students learning about that is incredible. Um, and but tell me more about your band. I know you said that you have an exhibit at the school for it, but who are the other um, band members, and how were you able to meet, and what made you decide to go through with this?
Okay, so since I've been performing for so many years now here in the Bay Area, and before that in India, there was always this longingness to bring authentic Kashmiri music here. Not just tracks of karaoke tracks, or um, not the right instruments. So always had this thing that I'm not using the authentic Kashmiri instruments, and I need to collaborate with artists who can bring this music to life, the actual Kashmiri music to life. And then like through my journey as a performer of Hindustani classical music with my guru, I did start like meeting a lot of artists, and through those conversations, the need for a Kashmiri band kind of arose, and I sought out a lot of performers and artists, and we started making music together. That's how music works. We just we met and we started jamming, And right now I have several independent artists who are part of the Kashmiri ensemble. There is an Egyptian artist who plays the tumbak nerd for us. Yeah, there is a keyboard member who's from Tamil Nadu. So it's like a very diverse ensemble.
Hmm.
None of them are Kashmiris,
Hmm.
but they are so amazing at playing Kashmiri music.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how it came about, and we all just wanted. There was this hunger to bring Kashmiri music to the United States in its authentic original form. Yeah.
I totally agree because we have our CDs at home with Kashmiri music, and my parents would put them in the car and we would listen to them,
Hmm.
and I fell in love with Kashmiri music. But
Oh,
sometimes when we would go to events, we would have towards the end of the event, all of the Kashmiri aunties would sit in a room, and one is playing
right.
tumbakar, one is singing, everyone else is clapping, enjoying, and I see that at every event I go to, and just the difference between listening to it in the car versus in real life, just
Yeah.
seeing everyone so happy and singing, and like
Yeah.
it's so nice to see, and like it's just everyone is always enjoying. You will never see people singing Kashmiri music and not there's no everyone will have a smile on their face.
Absolutely. It for the older ones, it's nostalgic. It connects them back to their roots through memories. And for the younger generation, it's something that forms a bond for them to a land that they were not born in, have never been to for some of them, but kind of reminds them of Kashmir through their parents. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, and that was why, we wanted to do this.
Right. I
Yeah.
think my favorite song um is probably Adi Shakti Shivajiyas Namaskar.
Ah, yeah, I know that
I
song a little bit.
really like
Yeah.
that song. The recording I have of it is just so beautiful.
How
Um,
amazing.
and
I am so encouraged to hear that, our younger generation is into this music. It just is so heartwarming for me to hear that.
yeah, I mean, I just remember we were coming back from someone's house and my dad was just playing it in the car, and at first I was just in my own just wasn't paying attention, and then I was like, this music is so like just beautiful, and it's just something
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of before. And then when my dad told me it's Kashmiri music, I was like, oh, that makes it definitely makes sense because it was just so unique from what I have heard, and seeing it in person. I mean, music, whether it's in the car on a CD or in person, is just beautiful anywhere. But when you hear it live and you feel like the instruments being played in the tumbuknar and the mridangam and all of these instruments, and when you
Yes.
feel it inside of you, it's
Yes.
just like
It,
unreal. It's
yeah.
such an amazing experience.
Yeah, it takes it to another level for me too. Yes, absolutely.
And I know that you volunteered to teach Kashmiri children folk songs and other types of music during COVID time. So, how was that experience, and how do you feel like it helped spread the Kashmiri roots to the younger generation?
So yeah, so during COVID, our I'm in the zone 9 of the Kashmiri Overseas Association. So our
Mhm.
zonal director and his wife were like very good friends. They were like, let's start teaching kids, online some Kashmiri. And that idea just kept evolving until the time we thought, let's teach them Kashmiri songs and lullabies and, the ancient leelas. This is the time to do it, probably because they're all at home, and since we are also at home, this is possible right now. So we took that challenge and turned it into an opportunity for us. And once we started it, we were told to do it for the entire US. Why to restrict it to only to zone 9 kids? Because we realized there was so much interest in learning Kashmiri music by the younger generation. It was amazing to see, and we had a diverse group of kids. Some who were older teenagers, and youth, and then there were these little elementary school kids too. And I was able to teach them some leelas, and many other songs, some really peppy numbers like the the most popular one, Hocus Pocus. But I think the important part was teaching them the meanings of the words and the right pronunciations too, and that sort of gave them the confidence to sing it publicly. And at the end of the sessions, when we were done with it, each one of them was able to sing a song independently on their own, and was doing it with so much conviction and confidence that it was totally heartwarming to see what a difference we had made with these children.
Because
Yeah,
it's not just the music, but just their personalities. They're becoming more confident in
yeah,
themselves. So that's incredible.
exactly, exactly. And just speaking, speaking more Kashmiri with us in some form, and learning the meanings of certain words which they would just say earlier and now knew what it meant. It meant such a big difference for them too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say that I get very jealous of those little kids that perform at these events because they speak better Kashmiri than me. They're more confident than me. They can sing better, and it's just they have so much talent at such a young age, and it's just so incredible to see. Um, And I know that this is kind of a basic question, but I think with your background, it'd be kind of interesting to hear your response on this. Why do you think it's important to stay connected to your Kashmiri roots, and how do you convey this through your art and your music?
Um, so for me, I mean, don't have to spell it out again, but I will. That since our community went through so much, not just ethnic cleansing in the 90s, seven exoduses before that, they've always been in a survival mode. They've been trying to survive all those years.
Mhm.
And for me, being born and raised out of Kashmir meant that I wasn't as well acquainted with my culture and origins as someone who was born and raised there.
Mhm.
So the language, the stories, the folklore didn't just come to me automatically. The love for the food, it wasn't automatic for me, it was an
Right.
acquired thing.
Same.
However, through my interactions with my family and elders, whenever I was talking to them, conversing to them, um, since I was raised outside, I didn't understand the gravity of what they went through. And when I was talking to them, I learned so much about what they went through for me to be still alive and to thrive. And
Mhm.
as I learned more, it became important for me to nurture this sense of belongingness to this amazing minority community. It gave me a very strong sense of self and pride, and so much confidence to know my background.
Right.
So it makes me feel that I'm a small, minuscule part of something so much more. And it also gives me that don't quit resilience that, I am here today. I'm still here. And next generation is still here because my ancestors before me did not give up. They did not give in. I stand here as because of their legacy. So for me, it is important to stay connected to my community through my music, through my art, and also through passing it on to the next generation.
Right.
It's just a higher purpose in life for me now. Now that I understand what happened for me to be here, I
Mhm.
just feel so blessed and grateful to be part of this community. And I really, really do hope that I'm able to pass on some of that greatness, some of those great stories, those songs of resilience, to my next generation. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that we have a duty as a Kashmiri Pandit, and it's that, we maybe in numbers wise, we might not be as big as other communities, but
Hmm.
we have this responsibility that our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors made so many sacrifices and they left so much culture. So for us to just, at least in my opinion, for us to just not contribute to that or learn more about it. We don't want that to go to waste. It's such a rich culture. It should be talked about more. It should be given more, just like love and support, and it should be
Absolutely.
shown more. Especially like I think it's great that through YouTube and on social media, that's where you really get the most traction from others, and that's a great way to share our culture.
Yes,
Um, so I definitely
absolutely.
agree.
Yes, and Shirin, I'm so proud of you for saying what you just said. And that is also, that's in our DNA. We have to
Mhm.
make sure that we all stay connected to our roots and move on from what happened, and then and thrive from here onwards.
Right. We
Yeah.
have so much history, and it's in our DNA to, like
Yes,
you said, to
absolutely,
basically to
absolutely.
share that.
Yes.
Um, but just for some personal insights, so if there's one thing we learned, it's that you are multi-talented and you have accomplished so much and done so much. But how do you balance your creative passions with your life, your family, the community volunteering, sharing the Kashmiri culture, and your personal time?
I don't balance it at all, Shirin. I really don't know how to balance it all, and so I just do everything with enthusiasm. And I think that becomes everything becomes easy when you love what you're doing. Then it doesn't feel like I have to make time for work, or I have to do this chore for this work project. So I am a very social person. I think it comes as a side effect of being a performer. I love talking to people and learning more about them. I love investing time in making bonds with my community or outside of it. And volunteering is also just another aspect of that intention to stay connected to our roots, to our Kashmiri roots.
Mhm.
So I do volunteer in my community or outside of it. Again, as everybody else does, and it's just this intention to form bonds, more human bonds, to learn more about other cultures and how it has helped them in their lives, and that's just the intention. And obviously, my family is a big support system for me, and they make it possible for me to take on several endeavors by being there for me, being my cheerleaders,
Mhm.
making, you know, making sure that I have the time to go pursue those things. I just try to enjoy whatever I'm doing, whether I'm being a mother, I'm being a singer, a chef at home, a painter, or a friend lending an ear to another friend. It's just that one thing that I do everything enthusiastically. I love doing what I do.
Right. So basically, for anyone that's listening to this, if she can balance it all and manage it all, then you can definitely do the same and just spend a little bit of time just trying to learn more about the community or basically doing the same.
Thank you,
Um,
Shirin. Your words finally, I feel like, I have done something in my life, even though it's very chaotic. But yeah, but I'm
it
getting
definitely
there.
pays off, the hard
It
work
does.
and yeah. And just out of curiosity, what is your history with KOA? How did you find it when you reached the US? And how have you been involved in it since?
Oh yeah. Since I was in Finland, I started creating online content, and a lot of people connected with me. A lot of people started following that music, and many of them were from the U.S. A few years later, I moved to the U.S. and I moved to the Bay Area directly, and then there were a few families who got in touch with me, and they were all part of the Kashmiri Overseas Association, and they invited me to the first event that they were doing that year, and I think it was the Herath, which is like the most important, significant event for us Kashmiris. And I was
Mhm.
there, and it was just the feeling of bonhomie. There was so much love there in that event. Everybody
Mhm.
was so warm, and they invited me to sing, and I sang, and it was just like they were so supportive. And I just felt, after a long time, I felt like I was somewhere close to home. That these were
Mhm.
my people, and their warmth and their love, all of that. Sort of that day itself, I think we became KOA members because we wanted our children to also have that sense of community, and have been since then, have always been involved with KOA, and we are life members for the Kashmiri Overseas Association, and absolutely take pride in the work they do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to ask this because you are a singer. Can you play or can you sing a snippet of a song, your favorite song, any song you would like for us here today?
Um, sure, why not? I'll sing this one of the very first first leelas I uploaded from Helsinki, and I swear I still to this date hear from people every other day that it reminds them of their childhood, it reminds them of their grandparents, and they haven't heard it ever since their grandparents last sung it in
Mm.
Kashmir. So it's one of these ancient leelas, one of my more popular songs that I uploaded online, and I'll sing you a line or two. And even though it's a morning leela, but it's more about it's not just, it talks about Prata Kaal, the morning time, but it's not just about that. It's about enlightenment, basically. It's a deeply spiritual song. So I'll sing a line or two.
Okay.
Prata Kaala Mityantagashmatya Chamhachanashmatya Puran Kar Prata Kala Mityantagashmatya Chamhachanashmatya Puran Kar Prata Kala. That was just the first two lines of
Oh my
Kashmiri.
goodness. That was so incredible. That was, you have the voice of an angel.
Oh, thank you, Shirin. That
That
means
was
so
so
much.
beautiful. And what's the meaning behind this song?
So it means that you know the morning light, as the dawn, like as the sun rises, same way may enlightenment come to my life. Same way may the light come to my life, and I be enlightened.
I like that so many of the Kashmiri songs are very uplifting and very motivating despite the history that we've been through. I think that
Absolutely,
just
yes,
shows the strength of our community and how we can
yes.
get through pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to see that even through so much of strife and so much of, I'm pretty sure their mental health wasn't great too, but they
Right.
were able to sing songs of hope, of finding enlightenment, being on their spiritual journeys. Like it's amazing,
Right.
so
Right.
inspiring. Yeah.
I definitely agree. But with that, I cannot believe that 40 minutes has flown by like that. It did not feel like that whatsoever. But I had an amazing time talking to you. And just to end it off, what advice would you give to young artists who are trying to stay connected to their cultural roots while trying to pursue their creative passions?
I would just say that since we got uprooted, the current generation has to work doubly hard. They have to first create a new habitat for themselves and then replant their cultural roots. So it might sound like a lot of hard work on a creative journey, but I would like to tell them that they come from a very resilient community, and I hope and really, really think that if they persist and they do not give up, I think even if it's impossible, they will they will reap the rewards. It will be such a gratifying thing to keep up with your culture, with your roots, and follow creative path. It's a tough challenge, but I know they will be able to do it. They will persevere because they are the next generation of a community that has been through hell and still are here. They are like keep rising from the ashes. Yeah.
Right. It's just very selfless and it's just mainly for the community and just for yourself to make you feel a little more satisfied about being more in touch with your
Yes.
culture and the people that came before you.
Yes, absolutely.
And are there any platforms you would like to shout out? Any, I know you talked about the events that are coming up, and I hope people that listen to the podcast hopefully show up from that. That would be so amazing. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, is there any? YouTube channels or anything you would like to shout out for our listeners?
Yes, I do have a Facebook page called Acapella Anshu, and I'm also on Instagram under the username Anshoo Tikoo Zutshi, and would absolutely love to be connected to our youth and and see their inspiring journeys too, and uh, would love to connect more with my community and put out more work for them.
Yeah, I think Instagram is a great way of doing so. So if anyone would like to, definitely DM her and maybe you can talk about your own personal experiences, or if there's any more questions you would like to ask her after today, then I think that would be an amazing opportunity to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And that would help me with my future projects too. So, absolutely do that. Reach out, please.
Yes. But that is all that we have for today. Thank you so much for agreeing to record with us. I had so much fun talking to you and getting your perspective on Kashmiri music. It's just it was so nice speaking to you.
Thank you so much, Shirin. It was so nice to speak to you too. I think next time we meet, you should be maybe come over here over a cup of kahwa and some rot. We should hold more conversations.
Yes, I want to go to the Bay Area so bad. But if I am ever there, I will definitely let you know.
You know where to come. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
But yes, that is all. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can find KOA Youth on almost all platforms. And please give us a follow and share this podcast with friends. We would love to get as much traction and as many listeners as possible. And thank you guys once again for listening to today's episode. We hope you enjoyed and had as much fun as we did.